Hi, welcome to this video. This is Mr. Chow, your English tutor. Okay, so what are we going to do today? So in this live stream, we are going to do a lesson for the PSLE situational writing. Okay, and some of the content is AI assisted, but most of it is actually written and presented by myself, right? For example, some of the graphics, they're too time consuming to create. I use AI to do it. Right, but a lot of the questions, the answers, they're all written by myself, right? So what is going to happen in this lesson? So before we begin, all students, right, who are watching this video, who are viewers or even parents, right, you're welcome to join in. All right, but first of all, take the time to prepare some writing materials, your foolscap, your notebook, rough paper, whatever you have, so that you will be able to participate in the live exercises. All right, so what's going to happen is that I will kick off, right, the video with some teaching, right, on situational writing, and then after that I will go through 3 working examples. Okay, so I will go through the question, then I will give 10 minutes for the viewer, right, the student, to write their response, write their answer before I review, okay, my model answer. All right, so this is a follow along approach, okay, for the lesson. So hopefully you can participate, right, because there's no point in you just watching me, sharing all the tips and stuff, and then but you're not doing anything. Okay, so you're not learning, so therefore we are not meeting the objective, which is for you to learn. All right. Okay, like I said, I will go through the answers with the explanation, right? And I'll end off today's video with some bonus tips. Okay, so this is how the lesson is going to proceed, how the lesson is going to flow. I welcome all the students, right, to join in, okay, as and when you are ready. All right. So let's get started with some teaching first. All right. So paper 1. Okay, so situational writing is part of the paper 1 and is a 40 marks exercise. The task fulfillment, which is the bullet points that you see, they are worth 6 marks, right? So no change in that. Language has been bumped down a little to 8 marks, used to be 9 marks. The total marks, therefore, has been adjusted from 15 marks to 14 marks, right? So in actual fact, I think the marks that have been taken from paper 1, a little bit of marks also taken from paper 2, and they all went to oral. Okay, so the oral weightage gets a slight bump up, right, and you get like a slight bump down from your paper 1 and your paper 2, right? But in terms of the skill wise, the skills that my students are equipped with, there's no change, right? So just work on your skills and you don't have to worry about the weightage and stuff, right? I think even if they move the weightage around, if you have the language skills, you have it, means you have it, you will still be able to do well for the paper, right? So just a word of advice, focus on the skills, then you don't have to worry about the syllabus changes, the formatting. It's just a format, right? Nothing changes for your skills, right? All right, so the recommended time, and I say recommended, is 5 minutes reading the question, and then straight away you can start working on your answer. 10 minutes for writing, so that works out to be about 15 minutes. So I think for time management purpose, you want to give about 15 to 20 minutes for situational writing. Paper 1 total time allocation is 1 hour 10 minutes. So if you minus off your 20 minutes for situational writing, that leaves about 50 minutes, right, for your continuous writing. Okay, and you want to be generous with the composition, right, because it has a higher weightage, and you need to spend a little bit more time in terms of planning. All right, so you will see by the end of this video, right, the situational writing exercise is actually not very demanding, and if you know exactly what to do, most students tend to get 10, 11 out of 14, right, even those who may not have very good language skills. Okay, because the exercise itself, just by its own short nature, there's not a lot of time for students to demonstrate their language skills. Okay, so but you can fail if you want to, right, by not following the instructions in this video, all right, by maybe missing some of the task fulfillment and just not following instructions. Okay, so let's hope this video is able to help you out. Now, so first of all, the students are given a visual stimulus. Okay, so this can be in the form of a comic strip, quite popular nowadays, with dialogue. Students may get a bit confused with, maybe the order of the frames, but I think the panels, if we number it, right, or if the exam board number it properly, there should be no confusion. Okay, so comic strips. There may be posters, flyers, so these are just a print media, and again, you may have a couple of students or a couple of characters with some dialogue as well to give context. And then finally, there might be some digital content. Okay, so this could be screenshots of web pages, infographics, or emails, again with dialogue. Okay, to provide some kind of context, right, for the situational writing. Okay, and that is the visual stimulus. All right. So let's very quickly jump into our first working example, right? So this is an example of a comic strip. So on the first panel, right, one Saturday morning, and you see two characters, and then there's a thought bubble, right? So there's a girl and there's a boy, and the boy says, "That looks like fun. Maybe I can try it out. I need to join a CCA by next week." So he calls out to the girl, right, and he says, "Hey, I am Tom. I'm a new student here, and I'm looking to join a new CCA. Can I try out the sport?" All right, and then we go to the next panel, and then the girl says, "Hi, I'm Susan. I'm also rather new to volleyball. I've just joined for a year. You're welcome to try out the sport for yourself." All right, and then Tom goes, "Thanks. Nice to meet you, Susan. Tell me what I have to do." Now we move to panel 3. 30 minutes later, Tom says, "Oh, I missed again. This can be quite challenging. Well, however, it's also quite fun. Let's try again." All right, and then the final panel, Susan says, "I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. You do need to pass the fitness test before you can join. Judging from your athletic abilities, I don't think you have a problem. I hope to see you again soon." And Tom says, "Well, thanks for letting me try out the sport, Susan. I really like it a lot. I think I'll just put my name down and see what happens next." All right, and then that's it. All right, so the comic strip could be 3 to 5 panels, right? So read all the text carefully in order to get a good understanding of what is happening, the context itself, all right, before you even attempt to look at the question. Okay, so once you're confident, you can just quickly move on to the question itself. So the question says, right, imagine you are Tom. Write an article for the class notice board to share with your classmates about your experience trying out the new sport, and you want to see here that you're asked to write an article, right, very early on. Okay, so take note of that, and in your article include the following key information. So what follows next are the bullet points that I've just mentioned. So that is the important part of this exercise, all right, because those are the questions, and you do need to come out with very precise answers in order to earn your marks. Okay, 6 marks, if you recall. Okay, first of all, why you are so keen on trying out a new sport. Now, the mark allocation in bracket is not visible during the exam. Okay, in other words, you don't actually know what is the mark allocation. Okay, so you don't care, right? What you want to do is you care about what the question is asking you and the answer that you need to give. All right. And second task, what you did when you saw someone playing volleyball. So what do you do? Okay. And then third, state how long you took to try out the sport and what you had learned. All right. And the next one, one benefit you may stand to gain if you join the sport. Now, the new syllabus will have one task that is underlined. What this means is that this task cannot, the answer itself cannot be found in the visual stimulus. All right, so you will have to come up with your own answers. All right, think a bit, rely on your own common sense. Okay, and you cannot just copy and paste. All right. And finally, what you have decided to do after trying out the sport, just for practice purposes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only have 5 marks, right? So I think maybe the third one, right? State how long you took to try out the sport and what you have learned. So there are 2 items here. So this is possibly worth 2 marks instead of 1, and then we can get our 6 marks. All right. So now before I give you the answer, this is the part where I will switch on the timer. I'll give you 10 minutes and you will work on the exercise itself within the 10 minutes, hopefully, right? And see whether you're able to come up with an answer. So let me just switch on the timer. Yeah, there you have it. So work on the exercise. Okay, you should be able to see. Remove the timer. Okay, so you should be able to see, read the comic strip. Okay, if the screen is too small and you're doing it on mobile phone, maybe move to a laptop, right, or a desktop PC, right, and then you can watch it on full screen, and you should be able to see the question in front of you. So don't let me distract you. Let's start working because 10 minutes is a very short amount of time. you have about 5 minutes left. Okay, 1 more minute. But this time you should be finishing up your last sentence and then just quickly proofread your answer. Okay. Okay, time's up. So let's go back to our PowerPoint slide. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go through the answer. So you might want to compare your own answer with mine and see whether you're doing everything correctly, right? So let me see. Okay, so for the title of the article, right, what I've chosen is I've just written down an amazing new sport. You can write anything you want, but I prefer to write something that is more appealing. Okay, so I just added in an adjective, right? So just do what you want. Okay, now, since it's an article, you want the reader to know who the writer is, all right? So you have what we call a byline. So this is written by Tom, okay, yeah, Tom. All right, and the date as well, right? Since people are going to read your article, they are going to wonder when this article was written. All right, so you just write down a date for them, right? So 5th January 2026. That's just how you start. Now, the format itself is not particularly important. What's important is the task fulfillment as well as your language. All right. So how do we start an article? So last Saturday morning, I was taking a stroll in the school compound. I was a little worried because my form teacher told me I needed to join a new CCA by next week. So that's T1 right there in the first paragraph, right? You don't actually have to write T1, by the way, okay? Just a note for you, right? For the student, okay, to know that you have earned the mark. All right, so my advice is that once you have completed the task, just go to the bullet point and leave a tick. All right, so that you know that you did not miss out that particular bullet point. Okay, next paragraph. As I was walking, comma, I noticed a few girls playing volleyball at a volleyball court. It looks really fun and interesting. So I approached one of the girls and asked if I could join. Okay, so that's my T2. All right. After playing for about 30 minutes, which is T3, I learned that although the sport looked easy at first glance, sorry, there's a let me just correct the typo. At first glance, it was actually quite challenging for beginners. However, I enjoyed the trial session and found myself wanting to play more, and that's my T4. So far it's still in order, right? T1, T3, T3, T4. You can jump around if you want, but just be very clear what you're doing, okay? And make sure if you jump one of the tasks, you are able to go back, okay, and make sure you answer that task as well. After the trial lesson, I realized that I was perspiring. I think volleyball is a great way to burn calories and it can help me keep fit. All right, and that's my T5. All right, so that's the one benefit that, the part about burning calories and helping you keep fit. This cannot be found in the visual stimulus. Okay, and you might want to brainstorm. Right, there are so many possible answers. Maybe you say, you can improve your teamwork, you can make new friends, many different answers. So as long as you give a nice, sensible answer, it will be accepted. All right. Just bear in mind that the language part of it is impeccable, right? So that you don't lose marks, okay, for your language. And then finally, all in all, okay, I really enjoyed the new sport. I quickly put down my name after that. Hopefully, I can pass the fitness test and become a new member. So that's my T6. And I have successfully answered all the 6 tasks. All right. So, please signal to the examiner using, a phrase like, in this case, all in all, right? Or in conclusion or whatever, right? To show that you have finished writing your article. And since this is an article, Usually for email letters, we would require what we call a signature, right? So the signature will help the reader identify the writer, okay? But you already have a byline at the beginning to show that you are the writer. So for the article, you do not actually need to include a signature. So for this particular example, that's where we will end. You don't even need to write down the word count. You know, and you're confident, right, that you have answered all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and therefore you're ready to move on, okay? And hopefully you have proofread your own answer so that it doesn't contain like spelling mistakes, grammar mistake, punctuation errors, and so on and so forth. All right, and this should be able to net you your 10, 11, or even 12 marks out of 14. Okay, so this is the first example. Now let's very quickly jump into the next example. So this is the visual stimulus. The title says primary shredders pickleball smash. Okay, so this is a poster, and then there's a date, January 27, 2026. Open to P3 to P6 students, school hall Court 1, and the registration closes Jan 20, right? Prizes for top teams. Scan for more information. So there's a QR code, okay, on the poster itself, and this poster shows like 3-4 kids having fun playing pickleball, right? Very popular sport right now. I don't play pickleball, so but it's rising in popularity. So maybe you will get this in your situational writing, right? And then down below we have two students talking to each other, and the little girl says, "Hi Tom, did you see the poster? It's promoting a pickleball competition. I scanned the QR code and saw that the winner can walk away with $500 worth of fitness products. Each entry requires 2 players. We can join together. I know Alex plays pickleball regularly. Maybe we can inform him too. I don't mind some friendly competition." And then the little boy says, "Great idea, Susan. I agree, it's an interesting competition. I'll write an email to Alex to inform him about it. I think he can easily find someone to join him. I think it will be really fun. Hopefully we can win something." Okay, so with that said, once you have read the visual, the visual stimulus, you can move on to the question, right? So imagine you are Tom. Write an email to inform your friend Alex about the pickleball competition. So in your article, you may include the following key information, right? And then you'll get the task, what the competition is and what the winner stands to walk away with, worth 2 marks. When and where it takes place, worth 1 mark. So it is not in the place of the student to try and guess how many marks they will earn from each task, right? So you just have to do your part, all right? The marking scheme is not revealed to you, okay? Only the teachers know how many marks. So you just need to know, just do your job, all right? What Alex must do in order to participate, worth 1 mark. One reason why you think Alex is suited to join, worth 1 mark. All right, and finally, suggest one thing that Alex can do to prepare for the competition. So again, this is underlined. All right, so if you can recall from the visual, we cannot copy and paste the answer because it is not there, right? It cannot be found in the visual. So just brainstorm on your own as you write, and make sure that you are able to answer this task. All right, so let's move on. So now you have the visual and the question, right? The 6 bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 bullet points, right? And the 6 marks, those are worth 6 marks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the 10-minute timer again, and this is your second practice. All right, give me a second. Okay, the timer is running, so you can start. You should be at least halfway done by now. You have slightly over 5 minutes left. You have 1 more minute left. So once again, try to finish up your answer and do a little bit of proofreading before you hand in your answer. All right, for your test or for your exam. All right. Your state of mind should be one that is, while you're watching this video, should be one that is, I'm practicing for my test. I'm practicing for my exam. All right. And we try to make it as realistic as possible, okay? So that even when you're nervous, you're able to perform during the exam itself. All right, and time's up. Okay, so we're going to switch off the timer and let's go back to our PowerPoint slide. Okay, so now let's take a look at our model answer. So since this is an email, now you don't have to write the chusoandso@gmail.com. You don't have to at the primary level, all right? But you do need to at the secondary level. But for PSLE, you can straight away start your answer, all right? So dear Alex, new paragraph. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Susan and I, not Susan and Mia for your information, right? This is subject, okay? Subject pronoun is always I, okay? Susan and I came across a poster on the school's notice board. It is promoting a pickleball competition, and the winner stands to walk away with $500 worth of fitness products, and we are done with T1. Next paragraph. The competition takes place on 27 January 2026. Matches will be held in the school hall, Court 1. That's our T2. Now you notice that whatever information that we have, it comes from the visual. Okay, so if they give you the day, include the day as well. If they give you the time, they include the time as well, right? But if they didn't give you those information, then it's okay. You just use whatever is given to you. Right? For example, here, they say Court 1 in the school hall. Okay, so you do need to include Court 1. If you don't, then you risk losing 1 mark. All right. Susan and I will be joining together as it's a doubles competition. Okay, since we know you play pickleball regularly, that's our T4. I think you stand a good chance of winning this competition. However, you will need to find a partner fast, T3. Now, why is T3 after T4? Okay, it's just because of the writing. You want the writing to flow. If I remove the T1, T3, T2, T3, T4, it should read as if it's one coherent piece of writing. Okay, so don't worry too much about the order of the task. Okay, as long as it flows very nicely within the writing itself. All right. Next paragraph. Now, once you find a partner, I suggest training in the gym twice a week to prepare for the competition, as the matches can be physically demanding. Right, so I'm answering the task that is underlined, right? Because training twice a week at the gym, this answer cannot be found in the visual stimulus. So you do need to be able to come up with it on your own. All right. And both Susan and I think you will bring some fine competition to the games, and I hope to see you at the court. Okay, so 2 or 3 sentences as the conclusion. That's good enough for situational writing. And because this is an email, you do need a signature, right? So yours sincerely or yours faithfully? That's the question. Okay. So yours sincerely, you if you know the name, okay, you don't care whether it is a formal, informal, you always use yours sincerely. Now sometimes you don't know the name, right? For example, you're writing to the school principal, but you don't have the information, right? You don't know the name of the school principal, then you write yours faithfully. All right. Now, because a lot of times the situational writing exercise are mostly casual, you're writing to a friend, you're writing to somebody whom you know, so you can use phrases like your good friend, etc. Okay, and just sign and put your name, Tom. All right, and that's the end of this particular example. Now, very quickly, let's move on to our third and final example. All right. So we already have our poster. So now we have a digital web page. Okay. So let me just quickly go through it. So on the web page, I see Westwood Secondary School, prospective students and parents. Right. And then right smack in the middle, I see Open House 2026. Explore your future. Right. Then I see 3 icons, one for academics, one for sports and clubs, and the third one for campus tours. And then there's a date and a time as well. So today, February 20th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and a button that says register now. All right, once again, we have 2 kids right at the bottom. And the boy was saying, "Hey Susan, that looks like an interesting open house. The school is near my house. Maybe we can visit the school since the event takes place on a Saturday morning. I'm keen to see what the school has to offer. I hope it has a badminton club as I really like the sport. My parents would like me to join a leadership program though." And the girl says, "That's a great idea, Tom. Perhaps we can go together with our parents. I would like our cousin Julie to join us as well. She lives nearby and she's also taking the national exams at the end of the year. I think she'll be interested in the school as well. I'll write her an email." Now I know we have done the email previously, okay, and we are doing another example with email. I know some of you may argue, right, Mr. Chow, why can't we have a letter, right? Well, it could have been a letter. You're writing a letter to your cousin, that's fine. But I think a lot of us have chosen our mode of communication, as emails, right? So we tend to write more emails than letters. So when was the last time, I always ask my student, when was the last time you wrote a letter, right? An informal letter to a friend, a cousin, a relative, right? And almost always the answer, never. They never write, right? It's always, because it's just faster, right? To send email, and it's free, it's fast. So just stick to email, okay? If it comes out in the exam, just treat it as an email. It's fine, okay? But for secondary school, the formatting may be a little bit different. It's more demanding, but for primary level, just focus on the content, okay? Not so much the format. So let's move on to the question. Now imagine you are Susan, okay? We try to use the same names for simplicity's sake. Write an email to invite your cousin Judy to join you and attend the open house. In your article, include the following key information, all right? And then we move on to our task. When and where the open house takes place, 1 mark. What one can learn about the school, could be 1 to 2 marks, right? Depending on the marking scheme. 2 reasons why Judy might be interested in going, 2 marks. 1 detail that you know about Julie that makes the school suitable for her. Right, it's quite interesting. I came up with this question because since she's your cousin, the assumption is that you know your cousin, right? And external parties would not have known this specific detail about your cousin, okay? So you come out with the detail, all right? Okay, if that's it, let's move on to our third and final practice. Again, we are going to switch on the timer. Let's see. Okay, it's on screen now, right? And you can start working on the final example before I go through the answer, and then you can compare notes. You have about 5 minutes left. Okay, last 20 seconds. Finish up. Finish up your last sentence. Proofread, and we are done. Okay, So let's very quickly move back to our PowerPoint slide so that we can compare notes. So what's the email going to look like? Okay, straight away you start with Dear Julie, right? New paragraph. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. I didn't mention this previously, so I mention it now. Make sure you are polite at all times. Start with a greeting, whatever greeting you can think of. It's always good. Tom and I came across a web page that is promoting an open house. It invites all prospective students and parents to visit. Now notice that this particular phrase, prospective students and parents, this is actually lifted from the visual itself. Now at the primary level is fine as long as you form a proper sentence with it. Alright. Secondary level, not so much. You want to paraphrase this a little bit. But primary level, it's okay. Okay. If you understand the phrase and you want to just use the phrase in your sentence, it's fine. Okay. Just make sure you copy the spelling correctly. Okay. Next paragraph. The open house takes place on 20 February 2026 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is at Westwood Secondary School and our T1 is done. Alright. Tom and I have decided to visit the school. Since the school is near your house, I thought you might like to join us. So this is reason number one, right? You are required to write 2 reasons. And besides, you're also taking the national exams at the end of the year. So over here would be reason number 2. All right. And the open house can help you make better choices when picking a school. And I'm done with T3. How about T2? Let's move on. At the open house, we get to learn about the subjects being offered and the sports clubs that are available. We also get campus tours. So here we get from the icon. Remember the icons, right? Sports clubs and the campus tours. All right, this is all information that we get from the visual, right? You always want to reference the visual. The old syllabus of 6 marks come from the visual. So whenever you don't reference the visual, you might just lose the mark. All right. So new syllabus, you only get 1 mark, right? That you do not have to reference the visual. All right. I know that you, just like Tom, enjoy sports. He is looking to join the badminton club. Maybe you can find something that is suitable for yourself, right? So the answer is actually here. You enjoy sports. So who would know that? Only you, right? Because Julie is your cousin. Okay. So once you have come out with a sensible answer, that's your T4, and that would be part of your response, right? And then you end off with, here is the web page URL, westwood.edu.sg. I really hope you can join us. I'll see you at the open house. All right. Now, because this is an email, you do need a signature. Once again, yours sincerely or yours faithfully. You know the name, right? So it's always yours sincerely. Okay. Don't write yours faithfully. Right. And sign, put your name, Susan. Right. And you are done. All right. So with that, we have successfully completed, in fact, the 3 practices for the situational writing. Okay. You notice that if you know what you are doing, okay, you actually don't have to spend a lot of time on this particular exercise. But the converse is also true, right? If you don't know what you are doing, you might end up wasting a lot of time and then you are not earning the marks. All right. So, but before we come to the end of the video, I want to leave you with some bonus tips. All right. So use present tense, especially when you know the activity or event is not over yet, right? So just now we know there's an open house that is coming, is in the future. In a lot of the emails, in the letters, the event is not over yet, so we want to use the present tense. Now, in our example, the article is actually a recount, right? So in that case, you want to use the past tense. So use the correct tense based on the context, based on the question. So you have to decide your primary 6, primary 5, primary 6, whoever you are watching this video, we are talking about a simple past, simple present. You should be able to decide and use the right tense. All right. So for the weaker students, use simple sentences if you're not confident with compound sentences. In other words, you're not confident using a lot of the connectors, then it's okay to use simple sentences, all right? But for the more advanced students, feel free to show what you know. You want to use more advanced sentences, advanced sentence structures, by all means, but make sure that they are correct, okay? Don't introduce mistakes into your answer. Most importantly, make sure that all the tasks, right? And I repeat, okay, keyword, all the tasks are answered, right? Do your working, take the tasks one by one, make sure every single one is answered before you move on to continuous your composition writing, okay? Once you are done, move on quickly to your continuous writing after the completion. For situational writing, as a reminder, do not spend too much time on elaboration, all right? Composition, yes, you want to elaborate, okay? Situational writing, not so much, all right? Especially at the primary level. Secondary level, yes, you do need to elaborate, but not at the primary level, okay? So as long as you're able to form your proper sentences, all your tasks are answered, all right? You're done and you should move on. 15 to 20 minutes activity, that's about it, all right? Write in an appropriate tone. So I put this in because some students may ask me, Mr. Chow, I've seen your model answer. Is that it? Is that your model answer? Is that the best answer? Well, the answer is no, because you can always polish it with better phrases, right? Better words for, you know, the more appropriate tone. If you want, right? And then you can score even higher marks, all right? So don't just walk away thinking that I can memorize this and, you know, maybe present this as my answer. No, write your own answer, present your own answers, choose your own phrases so that your answer is at least 90% original, okay? Bottom line is you want to show that you know how to respond appropriately for the given context, all right? So, but if you fail that, then what's the point? Getting AR1, right? But you don't know how to respond to the context, okay? So focus on the skill and not so much on the grade. The grade will follow the skills, all right? And finally, don't forget to proofread your answer. I know a lot of students don't like to take this final step. You just finish off and okay, I'm done. Hand in, okay, I want to go back home, play my video games, whatever, right? Don't make this a habit. So for exam purposes, during the practice itself, make it a habit to proofread your answer before you hand in the final version of your answer. All right. So with that said, we've come to the end of today's video, right? You know where to find me if you want to sign up for lessonsenglishtuition.org. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.